two comps that are really being played in general, and there might be some more too, but in general, you're seeing a lot of double shield, right? A lot of double shield, and then there's also like double bubble. Now, the biggest way you look at this, right, is double shield, like very much plays for, it has a lot of options. You can play really fast, you can play really slow, right? Normally you play slow to fast. However, you can always posture like close and then play really fast, right? So a lot of it's based on honestly your positioning. Like this comp is super important and super positioning like intensive. Like if you have good positioning and good map control, you'll probably just do insanely well. You'll just roll teams because like with positioning and map control, it makes it very hard for the enemy team to take space. Okay, and in terms of like double shield, in terms of what's really obviously being played, right, is, I mean, straight up, you obviously know you've got the Orisa, you got the Sigma. Now this is where I'll put the DPS here, then you've got the BAP, and then you've got the Zen or Brig. Okay, now I'll talk about this first. Okay, one of the biggest things on why Brig is just run a lot more is because not only does Brig allow you to go from like spam to brawl, right? Brig also is like a really nice pocket, like sort of Zen is with packs, but Brig also helps you enable like Sigma a lot when you're off angling, right? And on top of that, it has really strong peel into like dive comps. So it's a very safe bet running BAP Brig, right? So if you were running BAP Zen, the enemy team could just go dive or double bubble and you'd sort of just die, right? But if you run BAP Brig, inherently like dive or anything else like a dive brawl or even a dive spam is just much harder because tanks just get screwed over by Brig because of flail and bash. Okay, now the next thing is like, okay, what DPS do we really want to run here, right? Actually, cool, I do. So thank you, T-Bone. What DPS do you want to run here, right? And like, again, I want to be honest, there's a lot of options, right? And I haven't scrimmed enough to say what are the best DPS, but I'll say right now, in general, what people should understand is like, you should play around your comfort picks. As long as you understand how your comfort picks work, right? So like, for sure, like, I really think McCree is really strong. And maybe in longer maps, maybe you'll go Ashe, right? But McCree is like incredibly strong because McCree just doesn't die. If you die as McCree, you're doing something very wrong, right? Move your cam. I will just do something else with my cam 1 minute. Maybe do this and then do that. Maybe there. Let's try that. Thank you. There you go. So McCree, right? McCree Ashe are like the hit scan, the range DPS would probably go here. Okay. Then the other one, right, is I'm looking at, you think Mei. I'll talk about why Mei. Think Echo. You think Tracer. I'll talk about why Tracer is also pretty hard. You can even think Genji, in all honesty, if you're a god tier Genji, even though I don't think it's amazing. Did I add Torb? I did not add Torb. 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 And you can even think Hanzo. Right? So like Mei is really good at forcing brawls. Right, and Mei plus like Brig is like, oh, it's so good, right? And like in enclosed maps like King's Row, like Mei is just gonna be absolutely broken, right? And you can already imagine like Sigma, Brig, Mei playing together and just holding lanes together, right? On just like lanes, like that's so hard to deal with. It's so hard to deal with, right? So that it's like really strong. Echo, any place where you have an environment, right, and you're not able to just get destroyed, I think Echo will be strong. The problem with Echo is inherently you're scared of the enemy team's hit scan. Right, and you're always playing to understand the enemy team's hit scan and sort of understanding the fact of, is this guy a god? If he's a god, you don't have armor with Brig anymore, right? And because you don't have armor, that really affects Echo's positioning and like how Echo can play, because packs are there obviously, but it's not something like a Zen Orb which stays continuously, so it really limits the amount of value Echo can get. So then the question comes into play, are you getting super zoned out to Echo to the point where like you're not getting consistent value, to the point where someone else might just be naturally better, right? Tracer. Obviously, Tracer's an option, right? Hi, Aurora. Obviously, Tracer's an option, right? But the thing with Tracer is if you think about like McCree, it's hard to kill McCree 225, right? They've got a Brig, you know, they've got a BAP. So Tracer can work if you're like a god tier Tracer, but it's also going to be very difficult to actually like get in and like get value inherently because of like just how much peels the enemy team has, right? And also the HP they have as well. So it's hard, but it's doable if you're a really good Tracer and like you can identify like the pinching times and like the times to engage. Genji, if you're, again, same thing I'll say with Genji, is Genji to me is like Tracer is something that you can get value constantly and ongoing. Same thing with Echo. Whereas Genji is something where you're poking, your poke value isn't very strong. But if you actually force a brawl and you go really aggressively, right, with the Genji, with dashes and stuff, you can get a lot of value, right? But like the poke value from Genji can be really weak because first of all, like they have a lot of shields and stuff, so it could be necessarily really hard, right? And then another answer is Torb. And the reason why Torb is honestly pretty damn good is because Torb can play in multiple ways. Torb can play like a McCree, right, and just shoot. Torb can play like a Reaper and sort of like brawl, right, with just like shotgun. Plus, on top of that, Torb is a turret, which inherently just denies flankers, right? So Torb is really strong, like in spam in general, right? And Torb is also really strong versus dive. But the biggest thing with Torb is you don't have another person roaming, right? So with Torb and like Mei, right? With at least Mei, you can split off really well. And Torb, you can maybe send someone to split with the Sig and still off angle with Torb, right? Or play with the off angle group, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's still difficult, I'd say. It's not like easy, right? Because you don't have something roaming like a Tracer or Genji or an Echo that's like its own unit that's able to attract, like take pressure and sort of split focus very well. And Hanzo, if you think of Hanzo is just like pretty strong in general too, right? Like Hanzo is strong because Hanzo can one tap, right? And then like on top of Hanzo, like Hanzo can off angle too with like the off angle crew, with Sigma Brig, and like get a lot of value as well. And someone mentioned Soldier, and sure, you can maybe say Soldier, right? My problem with Soldier is like Soldier like very much. Sure, if you're really good at running around and taking flanks and stuff and running around the map and like doing crazy shit, sure, I can maybe see it, right? But like Soldier like very much plays for shield, and like at that point, oh, I'd also add this other hero. Junkrat. Like if you're like playing that to that point and like you're shooting shields, like sure, but like Soldier's not really a person who can brawl, and Soldier's more range, so like it limits like your range. And if you're running Soldier, why would you run Soldier when you can run Hanzo? Like Soldier's a mid-range to range DPS. He's not really someone who brawls. So why would you run Soldier when you can run Torb or Hanzo? Right? Like it doesn't really make too much sense. Right? And like Hanzo would get a lot of value in like long range maps. And then Junkrat, like any enclosed area, like you just think about any third point on like Numbani or like Eichenwald or like King's Row, like Junkrat inherently is going to be like broken. Right? Yeah. And it's good for front end pressure, but the problem is I don't think it's really good to have a comp that just plays for front end pressure. Because if you're playing a Soldier and you have a Brig, then your Brig's inherently like not doing as much. So like I just don't like Soldier because I don't think it plays very well into like BAP Brig. I think it makes your Brig pretty useless. Right? So I would say like if you want to play spam, then like with BAP Zen, sure. But then again, if you're going BAP Zen, why would you, I mean, sure you got Soldier, so you got heal pad, but then again, why not go Ashe? Why not go like Ashe Hanzo or something? Because again, it just makes more sense. I mean, again, like there's other options. You don't have to play Hanzo, right? Like you can play Torb, you can play like mobile DPS, right? Like these are the roamers. These are the roamers. These are like more of like this forces brawl. I'd say this forces brawl. This also sort of forces brawl, and then this is like very range in an essence. Yeah, Torpcree. Again, but the problem with Torpcree is you don't get like angles. Okay, so I think I've explained like comps, right? And like we've talked about like for this team I'm talking about right now, like we talked about what we sort of want to run, right? Like or what we want to try a little bit. Like we're running a lot of Echo, right? Comfort pick, and we're running like McCree, right? Comfort pick, and that's fine. We just have to be careful about an enemy hit scan that's really good, right? And if Echo doesn't work because of a map environment, we probably need to think about another option. Like if it's not working because of the map environment, it's probably because the map's really enclosed. So we probably want to look at like Mei, or like, oh, honestly, like you could probably even go Junkrat, right? Or it could go Genji, but like, or Torb. I think Torb's probably the better move. That'll probably fit us better. So just go like Torb McCree. Okay.